In ancient Sparta, life began with a test. The first battlefield for a child was not against Persians or Athenians, but against the judgment of their own people. Here, weakness meant death, strength meant survival. And on the rocky slopes of Mount Taygetus, the future of Sparta was carved, not by swords but by sacrifice. The Spartan worldview. To understand why Sparta treated its newborns so harshly, we must first step into the Spartan mind. Unlike the Athens of philosophers, Sparta was built for one purpose: war. The entire state revolved around creating the perfect soldier, the perfect citizen warrior who lived and died for the city. Every custom, every law, every ritual served the pursuit of strength. In Sparta, an individual's life meant nothing compared to the survival of the collective. And so, even the cradle became a proving ground. The inspection ritual. When a child was born in Sparta, the parents had little say in its fate. The infant was carried before the elders of the tribe, a council of seasoned men who judged whether the child was strong enough to one day serve the state. They inspected the baby's body, its limbs, its cries, its robustness. If the child appeared healthy, it was returned to the family to be raised in the harsh discipline of Spartan life. But if the child seemed weak, sickly, or deformed, its fate was sealed. The elders ordered the infant taken to the base of Mount Taygetus, the looming range that overshadowed Sparta. There, among the rocky chasms, the unfit were left to die, exposed to the elements, wild animals, and silence. The philosophy of cruelty. Why such cruelty? To the Spartans, this was not cruelty at all. They believed they were serving a higher good. A weak child, they reasoned, would grow into a burden, unable to fight, unable to endure the hardships of war. Better to end a life early than weaken the state. This was the ruthless equation of Spartan society: strength equals survival, weakness equals death. And so, even in the cradle, Sparta demanded sacrifice. Stories like these, harsh truths from the ancient world where survival came at an unthinkable cost, are only the beginning. If you want to uncover more mysteries of history, from the legends of warriors to the forgotten rituals of civilizations past, make sure you subscribe right now and join us on this journey. Life after survival. For the infants who survived inspection, life in Sparta was no less brutal. At the age of 7, boys were taken from their families and placed into the Agoge, the state-run military training system. There they learned obedience, discipline, endurance, and the art of war. They were given little food, forced to steal to survive, beaten to harden their bodies, and tested constantly. Every moment of their youth was shaped to break weakness and forge unyielding warriors. Girls, too, were trained in running, wrestling, and throwing spears, not to fight in wars, but to ensure they would grow strong enough to bear warrior sons. Even womanhood was bound by the iron chains of Spartan survival. The shadow of Taygetus. Yet, no matter how far a Spartan child advanced, the shadow of Taygetus remained. Every soldier, every citizen knew that they had survived because they were judged worthy at birth. That knowledge was both a burden and a badge of honor. It bound them to the state, a constant reminder that their life belonged not to themselves, but to Sparta. The mountain became more than a place. It was a symbol, a silent guardian of Spartan ideals, whispering that weakness had no place in the city of warriors. Historical debate. But here lies the question: did this truly happen? Ancient historians like Plutarch wrote of the Spartan practice of infant exposure on Taygetus. Yet some scholars believe it may have been exaggerated or even propaganda by rival Greek states to paint Sparta as cruel and barbaric. Archaeological evidence is scarce. Was every weak infant truly abandoned to die, or were some merely left outside the city and taken in by slaves or neighboring villages? What is certain, however, is that the idea of this ritual was deeply woven into the Spartan identity, and into the legend of Sparta that survives today. The price of perfection. The Spartans achieved greatness. Their warriors stood against impossible odds, most famously at Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans faced the vast Persian army. Their discipline and courage inspired the world and echo through history. But greatness came at a price. Every child, every family, lived beneath the weight of the state's demands, and countless infants never lived to take their first steps. Sparta became strong, yes, but it also became brittle. By sacrificing compassion for strength, it left no room for change. When Sparta finally fell, its way of life vanished with it, leaving behind the memory of a society that chose strength over humanity. Closing in the end, the story of the Spartan infants is not just about cruelty, It is about the lengths to which a society will go to preserve its ideals. Mount Taygetus still stands today, silent and unyielding, just as it did thousands of years ago. It bears no graves, no markers, no cries. Only the wind whispers across its slopes, carrying with it the memory of Sparta's most chilling law: the strong shall live, the weak shall die.